The Trump administration's travel ban kept a bunch of lawyers busy this weekend and created more confusion from travelers from the 7 predominantly Muslim countries named in the president's executive orders. In a Massachusetts federal court, a stay was issued, then dismissed. Late Friday, a federal judge in Seattle, though, put the brakes on President Trump's order. The Justice Department appealed, and the case is now with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, just one step below the Supreme Court. Trump aimed his anger at the holdup squarely at Judge James Robart, who he referred to as a so-called judge, and lamented that the judicial branch of government could freeze an executive action, and adding in another tweet, "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him and the court system. People pouring in bad."
Love Trump's hate! Love Trump's hate!
On Saturday, as protesters gathered outside Trump's Florida compound to continue making their case against the ban, international travelers from the affected countries started arriving at Logan, a little stunned by how quickly things have been changing.
I really can't believe it was all so rushed and also not going to happen anytime soon. I'm just shocked because I have a new appreciation for everything.
Some of the biggest high-tech companies, Apple, Facebook, and Google, to name a few, have signed on to a legal brief which outlines how the travel ban could hurt the American economy. Joining me now are Susan Church, who is the chair of the New England chapter of the American Immigration Lawyers Association and one of the lawyers who filed on behalf of the ACLU here in Boston. Susan, it's good to see you. Former U.S. Assistant Attorney General and retired State Superior Court Judge Kenneth Nassif. He served in the Justice Department under Presidents Nixon, Ford, and Reagan. Judge, it's good to see you as well. Can you explain quickly, Susan, for people, the judge in Massachusetts said it's not likely to succeed on the merits in your case. On the West Coast, they decided to keep the temporary ban on the ban in place. Why that decision there and this decision here?
Well, there's a lot of complexities with regard to the litigation, although I can't comment directly on our suit. The Washington State suit had a lot of institutional plaintiffs. Our plaintiffs, the 2 original plaintiffs, were released. There was a lot of differences between the cases. We had some issues with harm.
But the judge did say it was unlikely to succeed on the merits here. Is that not true?
Yes, different judges reached different conclusions looking at similar facts.
Yeah, was the judge in Washington State wrong as far as you're concerned, Judge?
I think so.
Why?
Well, what are you specifically asking me?
Well, the judge basically decided to put a hold on things, and one must assume, I was going to say as a layperson, but as a former lawyer, that he has to believe there's some likelihood of success on the merits. Do you think there is such a likelihood?
I think there is not a likelihood.
Why?
On the merits. I think ultimately it's going to go to the Supreme Court.
Of course it is.
You've got different decisions from different federal judges.
Right. But why is it not a Muslim ban? I mean, I'm just reading parts of this order, and when you see that there is special accommodation made to minority religions, to me, by definition, if you're in a Muslim-majority country, and the only special, I don't mean in a pejorative way, special deals can be for minority religions, to me, by definition, it's putting Muslims over here and everybody else over here. Isn't that discriminating against Muslims?
No, not really.
Why not?
Because if you look at, if I could give you an analogy, let us say we had a problem with the country of Ireland, and there were terrorists who were promoting terrorism here and elsewhere, and they were all Roman Catholics, an extreme group within the Roman Catholic Church. I think it makes sense to enter some type of executive order to prevent people from Ireland coming to America in general for doing this.
But if it said minority religions in Roman Catholic Ireland can get special deals, then I think by definition it would be discriminating against Roman Catholics.
No. If the Presbyterians were not creating a problem, and this was strictly a Catholic Church extreme group within the Catholic Church, I would favor barring those people from entering this country.
He's absolutely wrong. The Constitution expressly forbids discrimination against people based on religion or national origin. More importantly, how do we know this is a Muslim ban? Donald Trump told us it is a Muslim ban. He said that as a candidate he wanted to instate it.
Yeah, but Rudy Giuliani subsequently said that he told me to ban Muslims, but I basically said I can't do it, so I configured this thing so that it wasn't the Muslim ban. So that may have been his original intent, but how relevant is that?
It's not relevant because the ban itself, there's three levels of constitutional scrutiny. The lowest level is rational basis. Even on a rational basis, this doesn't even pass the laugh test. None of the individuals from any of these countries, none of the refugees or the immigrants, have ever been convicted of terrorism that caused any death. Over 250,000 refugees from these countries have come here. That's actually 40% of our total refugee assessments, arrivals in the United States. And yet none of them have been convicted of killing anyone on United States soil.
By the way, if a court ruled in this case that it's agreed with the judge that it's not an anti-Muslim ban, do you have any other, I mean, when I hear arguments like from these high-tech companies, it's going to cause us economic damage. Well, I feel bad about that. What's it got to do with the president's very broad power to make immigration decisions? He isn't limited by what may harm the economy for Facebook, is he?
Well, one of our plaintiffs in the case was Oxfam. And Oxfam, on behalf of Oxfam, we argued that there was also a First Amendment problem, that they had people that came from their particular, 5 of those 7 countries. They came to the United States to advocate on behalf of funding, on behalf of relief aid, on behalf of what Oxfam does.
So it goes beyond. That's a speech issue that goes beyond.
Absolutely.
As a former judge, if I may for a second, it seems to me that even if you believe the president is totally right on this thing,
he is.
When you hear the president doing like he did during the campaign, attacking that judge as a Mexican, who wasn't a Mexican, by the way, which is almost secondary because of his position on Trump University, now referring to this as a so-called judge, doesn't that trickle down to damage everybody in the judiciary when the leader of the United States of America is essentially trashing, for lack of a better expression, the integrity of a judge? Why can't he just say, I disagree with the decision, we're going to appeal it to a higher court? Is that the way to handle judicial decisions you disagree with?
That would have been one way, and that's probably how I would have handled it. But I'm going to tell you something. This is what people like about Donald Trump.
I think you're right.
And
doesn't mean it's right.
This is what the left doesn't understand.
What's that?
He speaks to us. He speaks like the common guy.
If you were still sitting on the court,
he's not
Judge, if you were still sitting on the court and you heard the president say what he said about the so-called judge, what would you say about it? Not on the bench. What would you say if we were having that discussion right now?
I'd say it would have been better if he simply said the court.
But you're not deeply troubled by it?
Not at all.
You know, the American people are concerned about this issue. And so what is he to do? And by the way, you've heard this 1,000 times, but it's true. These are the same 7 countries that Barack Obama did single out. He didn't single out and treat them in the same fashion, but they were singled out by the Obama administration. He piggybacked on that, admittedly expanded it. So to the average person sitting at home saying, I'm concerned about terrorism, what do you say the president should be doing about it? You don't want him to build a wall. You don't want him to do this.
The president should not be creating chaos by instituting a travel ban on doctors, on lawyers, on scientists, on mathematicians at the stroke of a pen without due process.
You may see it here. And you went to the airport, too, didn't you?
I was there. I was there Saturday night.
Give me an example of a kind of person.
Our plaintiffs are 2 professors at UMass Dartmouth. One of my constant contacts, phone calls, is a MIT student, a man who is bringing 7 of his relatives over, is a postdoc fellow in forensic science. Iran, in particular, out of many of the countries, sends us the best and the brightest. They are people who are giving us their highest level of knowledge in exchange for freedom and safety in this country. And it's to be respected, not taken away at the stroke of a pen.
Judge, just one second. Even if it turns out there's a problem that needs addressing, it seems to me that these executive orders, in some ways, are a solution in search of a problem. The 2 things I've heard to justify them is the Bowling Green massacre, which I think we now know never happened. That was Kellyanne Conway. And the president has spoken about San Bernardino. But you know as well as I, the leader there was a citizen of the United States.
He was.
And his wife was somebody who was here legally. So how would this have prevented something like San Bernardino?
These people are radicalized by elements from the Middle East who are promoting this terrorism.
Yeah, but these people wouldn't have been prevented from coming in the country by these executive orders.
You can't cover everything, but I think we're misreading this executive order.
15 seconds, yeah.
Number one, it's for only 90 days. It's a temporary order.
Not on Syrian refugees, but everybody else, correct.
90 days.
That's correct.
Secondly, you've got to realize we're only talking 7 countries, which, by the way, as you indicated, these are the same 7 countries
list, yep.
in 2015 that President Obama signed an anti-terrorism act against. Donald Trump is just picking it up and carrying it a little further. And I believe he has the support of the majority of the American people.
We can't carry it any further, but Susan, thank you very much for your time. It's good to see you, Judge. I appreciate your time as well. Thank you very much.